There's a real perception that orchids have a certain mystique to them. I think one of the attractions is the rarity historically. We chose orchids because it's such a vast group of plants, really. It's about 35,000 species of orchids on Earth in the wild. And they range anywhere from, Alaska to the very, very tips of South America and anywhere in between. This is the entrance to the Fuqua Orchid Center, and we're in the Orchid Hall. And that's sort of an exchanging display hall where we always have new flowers come in throughout the season. We use a lot of display orchids in there that are not found in the wild as native species, but are man-created hybrids and stuff like that. These are some of the slipper orchids that are great collection items, really. They last for a long time, the flowers, and many of these are endangered in the wild and have been largely over-collected. The second part of the Orchid Center you go into through that is a very specialized environment, and that's the tropical high elevation house. This particular environment is very unique. It is basically mimicking the environment that one might encounter when you go to the mountains in the tropical areas. So the temperatures are cool and humid during the daytime. They go up maybe into the middle and upper 70s, and at night they drop down to 55 degrees. So you can imagine you need some very specialized equipment to do that. This system is an air washing system. Basically, we're washing the air and bombarding it with water. Yeah, this is a really unique thing to this garden and to any garden. I don't think this system has ever been integrated in a greenhouse, really, anywhere on Earth. And once you tour through the high elevation house, then you can enter into the orchid display house. Very high humidities are maintained here as well, but this is sort of the tropical lowlands, really. So this is where we can grow orchids that grow in the tropical lowland environments. They're sort of put in a naturalistic kind of environment on how they might occur in the wild, either in created little stream beds or ponds or on little trees, how they nestled in the wild. Many of these plants are epiphytes in the wild, so they grow on trees, but they're not parasites. They purely use the trees as hosts.
A few of the many orchids in the orchid display house are the Phalaenopsis and the vanilla bean.
Vanilla comes from an orchid, believe it or not, and it's actually the seed pod of an orchid. This is a vanilla orchid, and it's actually the only kind of orchid that is really a vine that just keeps on climbing up, and eventually this will be all over the trellis, really. Vanilla beans that everybody knows are actually the seed pods of the vanilla. So if we pollinate the flowers, and they're mostly night blooming, then we get these little beans produced, and those vanilla beans are really what makes the flavor. The best strategy for conservation of orchids is obviously to preserve their native habitats, but that is unfortunately not happening in very many places. So we're sort of the second best. We can display them here, educate people about the conservation thereof, and we can also help with the propagation of orchids, really. We hope when visitors come to the garden that they get a strong message about conservation, about the beauty of orchids, that they really enjoy the kind of environment they're in. And then hopefully they'll learn something about orchids and the uniqueness thereof, and the vastness and the diversity, and the beauty of them.
If you love looking at orchids, but you're afraid to try growing them because you think it's just too hard, have I got the plant for you. It's called a nun's orchid, and it combines big, beautiful green leaves with beautiful flowers that are rose and cream color. And the best thing about this plant is it's easy to grow. All you need to do is put it in the bright light of just about any window in your home, and you'll get beautiful flowers every winter. So if you've never tried growing an orchid before, try a nun's orchid. It's the answer to your prayers.
Orchids grow all over the world, even in the Arctic Circle. Who knew? I'm Frances Schultz. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Southern Living Presents.
Oh, my pretty mother's home.